Well, hello, hello, hello. My name is Donna, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. If you didn't already know, I'm a full-time drafter and a part-time adjunct instructor at a local college teaching drafting. I created this channel to be able to post short educational videos to help you in your drafting journey. So most drafting classes are online these days, so thanks to COVID, and you can't really get the hands-on or face-to-face interaction like you could. At least this way, you can visually see what's going on and get a better grasp at understanding versus what you can from a book. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right. So, what I have here is a PDF of the part we're going to be modeling today, which is the slider plate. This can be found in Chapter 2 of the Parametric Modeling with SolidWorks 2025. And this is one of the assignments that my students are doing. So I've got this pulled up because we want to look at it first, right? We need to understand what it is we're going to be modeling. We need to try to figure out what units we're going to be on. Now, it doesn't say it here, but at the very beginning of the exercises, it does say that all dimensions are in inches. So what does that mean? Imperial. So we need to make sure that we choose the imperial template, okay? Now, my students will use our custom made template. If you're not a student, then of course you will go select a new part and then change your units to IPS. And we'll do that here in just a minute. So, just based off looking at this, I need to decide. So we've already figured out the template. Now I know based off how many decimal places there are, I'm going to change my units to two decimal places. I don't see anything over two, so we're going to change that. And just by looking at it, I would assume this is the front of the part. So, like, this would be the top, right, bottom, left, just like that. So, I am going to sketch this on the front plane. So let's go ahead and jump over to SolidWorks and get started. All right. So we're in SolidWorks. Now we need to take our plans and pretty much put them to action, right? So we're going to start a new part. We're going to go to File, New. Now my students are going to choose the Imperial template that we have set up. If you're not part of my class, you're going to go back to the Novice, choose a new part, and then you're going to come down here and change your units. So ours is already set to IPS because we chose the correct template, but we're still going to edit document units and change our decimals to 2 because none of our dimensions were over 2. So we're just going to stick with that. If you don't know anything about changing units, then be sure to check out the video that I have already posted, and I'll link that above and in the description. Okay. All right, so we wanted to start our sketch on the front plane. So I'm going to go to the front plane and hit sketch, or we're going to go to the sketch tab, hit sketch, and choose that front plane. All right, so chapter 2 teaches you to basically do a rough sketch, give it some dimensions later. So I am going to kind of roughly lay out whatever they got going on with this slider plate. So this back end is pretty straight. So I want this back line on the right side to be straight. And it's got a couple holes in it. There's several ways to make holes, but chapter 2 did not teach you but one way. So we are going to do the way it taught you, which is just create some holes and put them in there. It looks kind of funky right now. But now we're going to give it some dimensions and hopefully it didn't go all out of whack. So this one right here, we're going to set that to 1.00. This overall right here is going to be 4.5. All right. Now, let's see. Now, this one, it gives you a dimension that's kind of angled, right? So from here, like the angle right here, from the bottom of this line here is 60 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this line and then choose this bottom line, and I'm just going to pull it out. Now, if you pull it in a different direction, you're going to get a different angle, but we want it to come this way and keep that at 60 degrees. All right. Now, it also has another dimension right here. Now, notice this one's pulled straight out to the right. This one, we're not going to pull it straight out. We're actually going to kind of bring it down a little. You see how I angled that? See, we don't want it this way because if I throw that dimension here, let's just say 1.5 because that's the dimension they give you. All right. Now, if I actually measure that line, it's not right here. It shows me 1.73 inches, right? That's not 1.5. So we don't want that dimension like that. So I'm gonna delete it. Let me go back to sketch, smart dimension. All right. And we're gonna pull it down like at an angle like that. Give it 1.5. Okay, and continue on. This one also has an angle, so instead of pulling it up, you're going to kind of pull it over. There we go. That's going to be 3.5. All right, so this hole or circle, whatever you want to call it, is a diameter of 1. Now remember, if it has an R, that means radius, which is half of diameter. You could go ahead and do the math, or you could just right click on it and show it would say diameter instead of radius if it was already set to R. All right, this one is a diameter of zero point 0.5. All right, now we need to give the circles some dimensions to keep them where they need to be. Like we don't want them to move, right? So, like I said before, if it's blue, it moves. So from the bottom edge to the center, it's 1.0. So that means it will always be 1 inch from the edge of this part, right? And then we're going to go ahead and give it another dimension from the other edge. That one is 3.5. All right, notice it's black now. That means it has enough dimensions. It knows how big it is and where it needs to be. All right, now this one is zero point 0.5 from the end. And also give that a dimension from the other edge, which will be 1. All right, now that one will turn black. Now this one also has an angle. So we're going to choose that line and this line and just pull up. And it's going to be 60. All right, now notice my whole sketch is black now. It also tells me it's fully defined. We haven't gotten that far in the book, like I mentioned before, but this just lets you know nothing in this sketch can move. If anything is blue, that means you'll be able to click it, drag it, move it wherever you want. That means it really needs more dimensions or more mates to keep it in place. You don't want things moving because it's not going to be in the right place. Right, and I also started my sketch on the origin, which that kinda held it there. If you don't start it on the origin, you have to fix it or something, to just keep it put. So we're done with that sketch, right? Now we need to extrude it. It tells us that the plate thickness is 0.25. So we're gonna exit the sketch, go over to the Features tab. If you still do not have these, please, please, please go back and watch that video about how to activate more tabs because you're going to use this often. Okay. But I'm going to assume you already have the tab. And once your sketch is highlighted, you're going to click Extrude Boss Base. Now we're just going to leave it blind. Blind means one direction. We will learn about all the different other options later, but we'll keep it at blind. All right, and then the thickness was 0.25. Then we're just going to hit the green check mark OK. You see how easy that was? Now, in my classroom, I like to give you the volume to kind of give yourself something to double check yourself. I've also posted another video on how to check your volume if you didn't already know. But if you go to the instructions, in the assignment, I have the volume listed. Okay. So for this particular part, I have it as 2.177 cubic inches, which that is 3 decimal places. If you notice, is basically if you didn't change your units, it would show up as 3. So if I go ahead, check my units, it's going to say 2.818. And you're like, oh, that's wrong. You can always just change it I like to change the length to 3 just to be able, because this is getting you in the habit of changing your units. Okay. So I'm just going to change that to 3 to go ahead and double check myself, 2.177. And we know it's absolutely correct. All right. Now you're going to go ahead and save your part as the slider plate. If you're in my classroom, that's not how you're going to name it. Go back and watch the namings convention video if you don't already know how to name it. And that is it, y'all. So thank you so much for joining me today and watching me model the slider plate. All right. As always, if you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments below. If there's anything else you'd like to see a video on, just shoot me an email. Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and it really helps this channel out. Thank you again, and happy drafting.